whatever this is. Alright, so you want to heal. Well, honestly, why? Why would you want to heal? There's like tanks, damage dealers, and within those damage dealers you have so many options, so many cool options that doesn't involve pain and suffering and things that you don't know. Like, your mistakes are so easily seen by other people,
but then you can clean up other people's mistakes. But then again, if you make a mistake, everybody just loses it and blames you. It's your fault, and then they call you out. It's always your name, in order for them to like progress or whatever. If you're still there, if you're alive, they don't really care. It's your job. It's your job to get people up. But for some reason, they think that you as a person will not make mistakes, and that you're not allowed to make mistakes because you're a healer. You're supposed to be healing and be keeping people alive. They're forgetting that you have the same amount of like focus and concentration because you're a human being, and sometimes you do make mistakes. And then for some reason, they don't forgive you for the mistakes that you do, and then it's like everything goes to crap, and then it's all your fault. It's always gonna be your fault.
So healing, huh? Well, we can start with a few standard stuff, as I've said in the title of this video. Basically going to talk about some keywords or vocabulary that is used in healing and some stuff that I wish I actually knew beforehand. I think I've been playing this game for like 6 years now, and for the most part, and for the entirety of it, I have been a healer main, so I do have some credibility. And to start off, we will go with something that I actually had questions about starting this game. So the first one would be weaving. You can think of it as creating the perfect DPS healing sandwich. So I personally think of it as an Astrologian main. We're not really a good one at that, but as an Astrologian main, I think of it as creating a really nice malefic sandwich. It's not the most potent sandwich in the healing sandwich space of weaving, but I have no idea what I'm talking about. But it's basically malefic, I draw, malefic, I redraw, because RNGSNet gifted me the correct card and then gives me a different card, and then I malefic again, and then I actually play the card. So just like malefic in between each action. Sometimes though, although more often things go to crap and you have to kind of malefic, panic ED again because somebody else made a mistake, and you have to panic CI, but you will have to try your best and actually put a malefic in between your panic actions. And as you go along, you'll learn to accept that some people will not be saved, and you just consider that, is the tank's life more important than this malefic sandwich I am creating? And in that moment you will realize that the sandwich holds eternal in your head, and at the end of the day, you know, logs don't really tell you if somebody rescued somebody or somebody made a really good move. They don't really tell you that. All they tell you is how good or bad your damage is. So weave like you mean it. The best way to know if you're not weaving correctly is if you see your character, alright, as good as they look, you see them stopping, and they seem to have so much time in their hands. They look like they're planning out their best lives, they're dreaming about their best mate, and they in the time in between another action or spell, they're actually considering better life choices, making a family plan, and then just considering other things besides being owned by you. You're definitely doing it wrong. If they have that space and time where they're just standing there. Next thing is, it's a bit controversial, but with weaving, as I've said, you have to create malefic sandwiches. So the next one on the list will be DPS. You have to DPS. So that 0.1% is probably your Astrologian being complete crap. Not all Astrologians, it might just be me, but the thing with that is every damage counts. Not for most content. If you do ultimate and I don't know who does ultimate, that's on other ways of time, and you get like digital trophies. Who even likes digital trophies? But yeah, so with DPS, what you want to do is you always have to have, or rather contribute to the amount of damage that your team is dealing. And a lot of your healing kit actually ties into damage as well anyway. So yeah, win-win situation. And this DPS goes into the next rule, which is casts. You always have to be casting. The general rule that you have to remember, aside malefic sandwiches or glare sandwiches or broil sandwiches, which doesn't sound so great, is, that's why I don't scholar, kidding, is basically never stop casting. Never. Even when you're dead, you have to think about the next thing you're gonna cast, or if the situation calls for you being raised at that moment. If somebody raises you, pro tip, you don't really have to accept it as soon as possible. That's something that you can see somebody who has a bit more time with this game versus somebody who's completely new. Somebody completely new, and I do this as well, and I've been playing this for a very long time. This might be why I'm sharing this information, is that you have to time the moment that you actually accept a race. You have to have that presence of mind, so to speak. And then there's also 4 or around 7 seconds wherein you have transcendence, which makes you invulnerable to damage. So if you know that you have to be the healing people after that mechanic, you might want to accept that race but not do anything. As long as you don't cast or do anything, you have that invulnerable buff, I guess, on you. So that's perfectly fine. So just be aware and always be casting, or think about the next cast you would have or want to do, even when you're dead. Never stop casting. Never. Even in your dreams, even in your sleep, even when you're driving your car, going to work, never stop casting. Alright? You always have to think about that malefic. As weak as it is, you have to think about it. Alright, the next one actually goes into casting and DPS as well, is Sliiide Casting. So Sliiide Casting is basically you kind of tricking yourself and the server that you're still doing something. You're kind of multitasking and casting. So casting and then moving at the same time. You don't want to, this is measured in uptime. So if it's a combination of weaving properly as well as Sliiide Casting. It means that you're moving into position while still doing damage or healing. That goes into never stop casting. You also have to pre-position and try your best to slide cast into position. This is a bit more tricky because nobody can give you the exact moment wherein you can actually slide cast into position, but what you can do is practice it on a striking dummy or just prep wall and all of that, and you can do benefic or cure one and then just try and slide into another position in the edge of the map wherein you don't pull the boss. That's for now. And the next thing on this list is oGCD and GCDs. oGCDs are off global cooldowns and GCDs are global cooldowns. What that basically means, if you have a brain like mine, when you press a certain skill, let's say Malefic for Astrologian, because that's really my main, let's say Cure or Glare for that matter, all of the other skills that have global cooldowns and are not off global cooldowns will be sharing the timer and will be loading together with that glare you just casted. So they're sharing a timer with all of your other spells. Those that are on off global cooldown do not share, however, that same timer, and you can press it in between your global cooldowns. And that is what drives good weaving. If you can weave together a global cooldown and an oGCD or an off global cooldown, that's basically good weaving. And you want to make good Malefic sandwiches. That's basically it. So you do a glare, you maybe heal, and then you glare again because glare is good for the soul and the release, you know. And yeah, that's basically oGCDs and GCDs. So the next one is actually more connected to like healing. So it's overhealing or underhealing. So if your party is suffering from underhealing, it's very easy to tell because they would be dead. Alright, so how do you fix that? It's with proper healing. So this is more important when it comes to higher content. You can overheal as much as you want in duty relays and all of that. If you're getting into just learning how to heal, that's perfectly fine. If you're starting or progressing, that's also still fine. But for stuff that is more kind of demanding, you may want to not do both. You really don't want to be under healing. Your group might kick you, and there's like an abundance of healers right now. We're not really quite as needed as before, which is just very sad. I don't feel special anymore. It's very sad. But yeah, so what you want to do is just think of everybody's HP as a resource, and as long as it doesn't hit 0, you're all good. And overhealing is better than underhealing. So yeah, simple math is that overhealing happens when the amount, don't even have to be this complicated, but overhealing happens when the amount of damage taken is less than the amount you're healing for. So it's just healing on top of the HP. So it's like you're not really doing anything, you're just wasting casting time. But still, I guess you're still casting, so you're at least following one of the rules. So actually that is it on my list as well. Yeah, so on the next video that I wish to actually create, I want to discuss the 4 healers and kind of briefly go into what makes them different, what makes them good, what makes them kind of bad, if any. And that's it, really. That is it from me. So to quickly just gloss over the entire thing, some words that I mentioned today was DPS, weaving, in no particular order, of course, oGCD and GCD, overhealing and underhealing. So as well, I think, as Sliiiide Casting. So that is it from me. I hope that was actually helpful. I think I would have liked a video like this when I was a wee young white mage. So there you have it. So thank you if you're still here and watching my video. I do appreciate it, and a lot of these are jokes, like Astrologian. It's a joke. It's my name, but I know.